Graveyard of Honor has to have the dumbest, most impulsive Yakuza protagonist ever put on screen. So the film is from 2002. It's directed by Mike Takeshi and it stars Goro Kishitani as Ishimatsu and Narimi Arimori as Chiko. So when the movie starts, you get this voiceover which says like this one line, which is in the spring, the Yakuza boss went to the dentist and one Yakuza henchman went to hell. And that perfectly summarizes the entire movie. So I'm going to tell you like the first probably like 20 minutes of the movie. So it starts off with our hero, and he's like a dishwasher in a restaurant, and our boss, like this Yakuza gang, has come there for dinner. And then this rival Yakuza guy comes in with like two guns and just starts blasting away. And the dishwasher sort of saves the boss's life. So the boss is really grateful and ends up making him like a second in command in the gang, which is not very well appreciated by the rest of the gang because he's just sort of superseded everyone. So as far as I can understand in like the Yakuza hierarchy, you have like the main boss, and then you have like the guys immediately under him who are called like uncles, and then below that are like the brothers, okay, and then below them are like the rest of the Yakuza ranked by like hierarchy. The hierarchy is sort of like, how long you've been in the gang. So he just immediately gets made uncle, right? And then the boss sort of gives him a job to do. He's supposed to go recover money from some guy, and he just goes and stabs him to death, and then ends up going to prison for like a few years. And then he comes out, and now it's been like about 7-8 years he's been working under the under the boss, and the boss overall is sort of happy with him, even though he's like really impulsive. And along the way, he meets this one woman who's, Chico, and ends up saying, like, oh, you're my wife from now on. And so she's sort of poor and sort of easily manipulated. So she's like, okay. And then one day, the hero asks the boss for some money, okay, because he wants to buy like a pub or something, like a dance bar, whatever, right? And the boss is like, okay, I'll give you money. So the day he comes over to collect the money, the boss gets like a toothache and is gone to the dentist. Anyway, so he comes to the office and he asks the rest of the uncles, who are sort of much older than him, like, where is the boss? And the other uncles don't like him, so one of them just lies and says like, oh, he's gone to the hot spring or something, like he's just relaxing. And our hero, being the impulsive idiot that he is, immediately gets angry and is like, the boss doesn't care about me. I've worked for so long under him. I even went to jail for him. So he gets into a fight with the rest of the uncles and picks up like an ashtray and bashes in the skull of one of the uncles, who ends up in the hospital with a fractured skull. And he runs off, right? And now everyone is like, what the hell just happened? Right? And the boss is like, what is going on? Like, has he gone nuts? Like, has he lost his mind? And then a few days after being in hiding, he goes back to the boss's office, or the boss's house actually. And it's like late at night. I don't know how he gets in, but he goes into his house and the boss is sleeping. So he slides open the door and the boss is like, oh, you're here. Okay, just wait. I'll go get the money. Like, he doesn't say that. He's just sort of like crawling to his closet to take out the money. And our hero panics and thinks the boss is going to kill him. So he takes out his gun and shoots the boss, who, sadly doesn't die. But he's like, he takes out the money from his box and is like, here, take your money and like just shoot me and kill me. And now he just panics and he runs off. And like the rest of the movie is just him going from bad to worse, making like increasingly terrible decisions. And his terrible decision is always going to get someone killed, and he's probably the one who's going to do the killing. He'll misunderstand the entire situation and just ends up shooting people. Like, that's him. Okay, and along the way, because that's not enough, he also decides to become a junkie and then makes his wife a junkie as well. Like, she's probably the saddest character in the entire movie because she's just like this innocent person that he's just dragged into his life. And the movie is genuinely fascinating. Like, this is a remake of a 1975 film by the same name, which was directed by Kinji Fukasaku and stars Bunto Sugawara. So I haven't seen that one, but like Mike Takeshi is a good enough, like is a very good director. So the only issue I have with the film is like it is sort of low budget. Like a lot of the early like late 90s, early 2000 Japanese movies, they all look relatively low budget. They're all sort of shot on like a cheap digital camera. So yeah, like and it's all shot in like small spaces, so it doesn't have like a scope to it. Like everything feels like it's shot in like small corners and small offices. Maybe that's the kind of budget they had. A few shots are really nice. Like this is one scene where the police finally figure out where he is, and and they sort of surround the house, and so he comes out into the balcony in his underwear, and he's like really high, and he takes out his guns and he just starts shooting, all over the place. That scene is done extremely well, and it's all shot with this like handheld camera, so it almost feels like news footage. It's like some random news crew just showed up and is like this random guy on the balcony just shooting guns left, right, and center. That scene is done extremely well, and it ends like hilariously. So yeah, like, but beyond like the technical aspects of it, which are okay, the acting is fantastic. Like Goro Kishitani does a brilliant job as like the insane Yakuza that he's playing. I haven't seen him in anything else, but he's a really good actor. And even the actress playing Chico does a really good job. Okay, so yeah, overall, I mean, the only other film I can compare it to is Aesthetics of a Bullet. And this is sort of like the opposite of aesthetics of a bullet, where there he's like a blowhard, but he doesn't have the guts to go all the way with murdering people. Here he is just insane, right? He's just completely impulsive, and he will kill at the drop of a hat. So it's less of a Yakuza movie, and it's more of like a character study of this insane person who will just like. And I think Graveyard of Honor makes sense because everyone is trying to be honorable towards him, and he's just going to drag you down and eventually just misunderstand the situation and kill you. So yeah, it is a genuinely good movie. Like I'm going to try and watch the original one later on, but this is a really nice movie. So if you want to watch like an interesting Yakuza movie, I will highly recommend watching this.